Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What is up, everyone? I know it's been a while since we've talked about Cursed Island, but we've been wanting to get this interview for a while, and we're definitely going to be talking more about Survivor Vanquish, our introduction into the org community and everything. We have Queen Vanquish, Mama Vanquish right here, Kristin Parsons, also one of the runner-ups for Cursed Island. What is up?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Excited
yeah,
for this.
yeah.
We
This is
have
going to be
lots,
exciting.
lots to talk about.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We
I
do.
can't wait to open it all back up again. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys can remind me of some things because I don't remember stuff.
It's totally
uh,
fine. First up, tell us about your org history a little bit. Like, what was your introduction to orgs, and yeah, like I don't know the origins of Vanquish too much, but like, what was your part in this, and how did you get the charity aspect involved in it?
Yeah, so I think my org experience started like most people's, if they weren't coming from Vanquish, which was in 2020, during the height of the pandemic. And there was literally nothing to do. And of course, I've been a Survivor fan for years, and I'm on all the fan pages and things like that. And I saw somebody post about a game. And that person and I had been in communication just because I was auctioning autograph pictures off the page for Give Kids the World, a charity in Florida. And so he's like, you should do this. I think you'd be a perfect fit for the game. And so that was my first game in I think September of 2020. So
Nice.
from there, I played a
Nice.
few. I was robbed of that first one. I'll go on the record for saying that. It's a touchy subject, but that's okay. And then played a couple of other ones. I won one, and then I was like, you know what? I want to actually do something different. I want to create a game and do it for something like for good. And so I wanted to raise money for a charity that was near and dear to my heart, Give Kids the World. My son had a wish trip and stayed at Give Kids the World on his wish trip. Um, so we raised a lot of money for them for a while. And then most recently, we started raising money for Make a Wish because without Make a Wish, we wouldn't have ever had that opportunity. So, yeah, I just wanted to make something to be better and give the world something better.
Nice.
nice,
Super
nice.
cool.
Yeah, I'm really jealous that I discovered the org community after like the pandemic and all that stuff. Like it was a little bit
Mhm.
afterwards because I just like everyone would have been like fully committed into the game. Like I feel like that definitely like made the game even more like special is that everyone was like there all the time.
Yeah, I mean that was yeah, everybody was obviously at home. I mean, I was living in Colorado at the time. I remember waking up at like 4 in the morning to take calls because those people were on the East Coast and they were getting up for work and wanted to talk about plans. So I remember setting my alarm to make sure I was able to talk to my alliance and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was I was very much all in. And since then, like I try now that I've played a few of how I feel like I would play Survivor. Now when I play, I try and play different games and just have fun
Mhm.
with it because at the end of the day, it's more for fun. So.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
All right. What would you say when it came to building your own org? I know like Shane was a part of it, everything. Tell us about the early days of Vanquish because we kind of came in
Oh God.
well so for the no, and I'm probably sure I mentioned it. So I did apply for season several of Vanquish, but I did not check my Facebook friend requests and messages, and so from that interview, so that's that. So I was like aware of like the Vanquish community pretty much since then in early 2023, but I really started like getting to like see everything in full fruition in 2024. So like the early days, also it's hard to backtrack and watch some of the earlier stuff because
It
it's a
is.
lot of scrolling.
It
But
is.
yeah, so what were the early days of Vanquish like?
Well, I will say that Shane and I have done everything in our power to figure out a way to put them into albums so that people had better access to go back and look at that. We have literally tried everything. Facebook is like, it's not allowing it. So
Stupid.
if you
Mhm.
ever really like are just completely bored out of your mind, scroll till your heart's content and you'll eventually find the beginning. The beginning of Vanquish was not so how it is now. We'll just put it that way. It was a lot of drama,
Mhm.
a lot of just bickering. Shane was not my original co-host. And with that, I mean, it is so far in the past. There's no reason to even like dive into it. Wow, I can't even talk now. But literally without Shane and another friend of ours, Ryan O, Vanquish would not have continued on. Because I
Mhm.
literally called them every night, like, I'm ready to throw in the towel. I can't do this anymore. Um, and so then after season two, Shane was kind of still helping on the back side of things, and I had another co-host. But then things with that, life and it's not 2020 anymore. You got life and things like that.
Um,
And so like really season four was when Shane like really came to the forefront and was like tribal master. I mean, he was there for season three. And he was, not how you guys see him now, which is amazing. Like Shane has like I feel like Shane and I have such a beautiful partnership that we've really taken Vanquish like above and beyond. And I cannot be more happy that like he can like talked me off the ledge, him and Rhino,
uh,
and said, keep doing this. So
yeah.
Shane is like the hero of the story because without Shane, there would be no Vanquish. So
Yeah, that's awesome because I know when we were doing Curse Island, like we looked at you guys like the pedestal of like, okay, we gotta be like trying to be as good as Kristen and Shane in
oh
terms of
Yeah,
gosh,
the
if
yeah,
hosting.
you
So,
listen, if you saw season one, you'd be like, this hot mess express, what the hell is she doing? But
uh-huh.
I mean, I think that that's with any org. Like, you learn as you go. We still learn as we go. There's things that we find don't work and things that do work, and mistakes are made and things like that. It happens. I mean, we're not on an
Mhm.
island. We're all on itty bitty boxes on a Zoom, so things
hmm
can happen. But yeah, I mean, from seasons, I mean, one, two, three, really kind of hot mess express. And then four, it starts to like get a little the kinks are starting to work out. Five kind of went back into Hot Mess Express, but still working and like trucking along. And then really like six, we had some issues, but then seven, it really like felt like we were in the
yeah,
groove. And then it's just continued to get better and better and
Mhm.
better till now that I feel like I said, I'm always wanting to grow. I love hearing from people to be like, hey, I that challenge didn't work, or gosh, I really hated that twist. And like I'm gonna listen to them. I may not like listen to them enough to like fix it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, like, because there are certain things that we love, so
yeah,
it is really like it's one of those things that I'm very proud of Vanquish to where it is, but I can't wait to see where it continues to grow.
yeah. Bring back
Or-
the hour and a half long immunity challenge. I think we need
No,
to,
thank you.
I think we need to
Never
bring.
again. I was like, I can't.
Okay.
I was like, no, we're done for the night.
Yeah, that was. I think like I didn't watch that one fully. I was at work. I started watching, then I had to do some stuff, and I came back. I was like, oh shit, they're still going. Uh,
It
Yeah,
was. I think if I remember correctly, it was the hat one, right? Is that right?
with the
yeah.
With the
the
toothbrushes?
toothbrush.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's funny is Wesley wasn't able to compete that night, and so we had just timed him, and we were going to add that on time, as if he were there. And Wesley ended up taking like 4 minutes or something, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, like this is going to take forever." Like if they all take like 4 minutes, like because we were thinking like Wesley like took forever, because like
Yeah.
we've done like we do these challenges, and so, my kids did this challenge, and it didn't take that long, so we were like, oh my God. And then like to watch it all go down, we're like, shit, Wesley had it down. Like, why
Yeah.
can't we get more
Yeah.
Wesley? So I mean they all tried their best. Like so that's the beauty of kind of
Mhm.
these orgs and like what I really strive with Vanquish. Like I feel like with Melissa and Kevin and I, like we're really trying to find challenges that you don't see in every other org. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So toothbrushes and hats will never appear again on Vanquish.
Man, I'm gonna miss out
Mm.
then. That was I
Sure.
was I was having a blast in the chat. I was like, this is what this is what I live for right now.
After like a half an hour, I was like, I messaged the mod chat and I was like, get them started in the breakout room. Please,
Yeah,
we can't, we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Like, get them started. So,
yeah,
like, that's why it was not shown. It was recorded. I think it's put in the comments. It may not be yet, but I think it's supposed to
yeah,
be, but yeah. But
yeah. They would have had to start doing tribal council still in the middle of the challenge.
yeah,
Like,
pretty
Yeah.
much.
like we'll just
Well,
talk to everyone and just figure
right,
this.
as you guys continue with the hat situation. And we don't know who's going to go to tribal yet. We'll just talk to you all.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hot mess.
Uh,
And I feel that happens. I mean, if anything, it's more akin to like, because I know in from our experience like with Cursed Island and everything. We also had to choose like challenges that fit into the time frame. With that one, I think because it was a live show later in the day, it was a lot trickier to, like something like that. It's like face sometimes, and especially like you're a comp beast. We're not trying to throw you under the bus or anything. Uh,
I'm not
but
a
like
cop.
you have a lot of experience doing that, and when you're a like game maker and stuff like that, you kind of have more experience, and you can like kind of solve these things a lot more easier than people that
For
may
sure.
practice here and there and then
Mhm.
still compete.
Well, that's why I had my kids
So
do it. I'm like, the
yeah,
kids are going to be the tester, and so like when they're like rocking it, that's where I'm like, uh
future orders.
oh, right, exactly, yeah. No, but I do like, especially in a mini, like you're talking about, Ryan. Like those challenges, like a lot of times we do repeat a lot of those challenges in the minis just because they're very quick.
Mhm.
They're supposed to be like those minute to win
Yeah,
it games. But what's even funny of those very simple challenges, we still have like 50 questions where it's like, what are we doing with this?
I
And I'm like,
remember.
put the ball in the cup. Just put the ball in the cup.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm being called out because I had my big himbo moment where I'm like, are we from here? From here? Do we balance it on our head? Do I need a hat? Like,
So yeah, no, but it
and
is.
then
I mean, especially when you're on a time crunch like that, it's you try and
oh
find
yeah,
things that move in like easily.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about you coming into the game of Curse Island because you were an alternate essentially. You kind of came in last
think
like
I was an
minutes.
alternate. I think it was like an oh
Yeah,
shit, we need somebody.
basically, but we're gonna call you an alternate for the
Jake
Okay.
Jake was like, "Yo, we had someone drop out. Come." And you're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of
I was
Yeah.
mine
like,
from Darman
yeah.
uh had to drop out because she had some personal issues, and then you came on in. What was your thoughts about everything
Well,
coming on
yeah,
into
Jake
this?
Jake messaged me like 20 minutes and I remember going, when does it start? And he's like, 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure. And so he's like, okay, we're gonna add you to the group chat. And I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. I am so done for. They've been chatting in the group chat. I'm first boot. I'm done. Like, that's fine. I'll continue on with my Saturday night of watching stupid trash TV and like having a couple beers. And so I came in there and I'm like seeing some familiar faces, and I'm just like, oh, do I have an echo now?
I don't hear it.
No, I think you're
Oh,
good.
okay, sorry. I thought I heard my voice. Anyway, I came into it, I saw some familiar faces in there, so I was like, okay. But I'm one of those people that I don't want to just work with people I know because most of the time they know how I play. So I'm like, I steer away from you and kind of get you out.
Mhm.
But like they are the familiarity, right? So especially in a mini, those are harder. Like if it's a long form game, I don't know you and I'm voting you out ASAP. But also I would in a mini, it's like you're a back burner, but I want to see what else is going on over here.
Mhm.
Um, I saw Miranda. I was like, okay, I just hosted her. Like, this will be fun. Like, she's a fun person.
Hmm.
Uh, and then there were these other people, and like, but I instantly saw like there was a hunt for something. I'm like, definitely missed that. Screwed. Like, I just was like, this is going to be a very short night for me. And little did I know that was not the case. So,
Oh,
Not at all. Not at
funny
all.
enough, the other alternate was Devin. He had kind of the same mentality where it's like, all right, I'm not gonna do that well. He still tried his darndest to get the idol. He was like, it was him and Jeffy
Yeah.
were the only two looking for it. And like Devin did it in the shower. He was like, all right, is it this, this, this? All right, cool. So I won't go home first.
Yeah. Yeah, he,
yeah.
he wanted to go home first because he saw Phil was on the cast and he was like, "Oh no, I don't want
Well, he had just played with
to."
him. I know
Yeah.
that's the thing too. Like I just seen Phil, like I just hosted him, but like
Uh-huh.
I like some of these people, like that's kind of the beauty of hosting too, is I do know how some of them play. So I knew like Phil, I'm like, where's he gonna go? Because like he's a
Uh,
loyal person, but he's loyal to the people he's loyal to. So there's no good if
Hmm.
you're not with Phil, like from the get-go, like good luck. So
mhm,
I knew that that was gonna be something I was gonna have to deal with. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of like not all the time when you know these people is it a good thing too.
mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah. They may also paint a target because like with your reputation, because also like it's been said you play like a villain as well at times.
what?
Also, because you
A
have
villain?
because you have I don't think you were a villain this season at all. I feel like yeah, I would categorize you as like a Sandra Diaz in this game, but I don't think villain. It was more like boss ass bitch. I'm here. You're not gonna do shit, even if I sit out of a challenge.
Which, by the way,
I'm
villains have the
assuming we're
most
gonna
fun.
get
I think
to.
that's great. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming we're going to talk about that, but yeah, no, like I said, I kind of once I realized how like late I came into the game, I was like, I'm doing this like still like I'm gonna try and get voted out. Like I legit tried to get voted out every round, and I'm like talking to Austin, like I'm texting Austin, and he's like, "Did you just throw that challenge?" I was like, "Maybe." And he's like, "Kristen, you're like amazing at Flip Cup. How'd you lose that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like it was the whole thing.
Uh,
No. It was
yeah.
fun though.
Yeah, definitely. The first challenge, scavenger hunt. Obviously, we did it because it's a Vanquish staple, of course. It's an org staple. And let's see, it's Esteban and Amy ends up winning. What were kind of like your initial thoughts when you kind of like went off into the breakout rooms?
Um, yeah, so fun thing about the scavenger hunt, that was I've never lost a scavenger hunt ever.
Uh,
And so like that was one where people were like, "Are you trying?" Because when you asked for a screen, because I do the same thing with Vanquish, like where I need a picture of a map or something, and people like walk or a clock and their like phone sitting right here, and I'm like, let me go look for a screen. And so I'm like wandering my house. And they're like, "Oh, Kristen, you're last." I was like, "Oh, darn." Like, let me get off here. But it was one of those because like you don't want to be in the forefront in the very
yeah.
first challenge. But it did hurt. That one hurt because I've never lost a scavenger hunt. So I was a little like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But then going into the breakout rooms, it was like let's do this. The game has begun. So like I don't care who ends up where. Let's see where it's gonna go and like what's gonna happen from here on out at this point.
Mhm. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
always viewed the scavenger hunt, especially if it's first, as like a bait immunity challenge because it means nothing to any other challenge, like in terms of skill. But like having that immunity immediately makes you seem as if you could be an immunity threat somehow.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
in the same boat. I never want to win that challenge because it's just like it's just going to be a curse.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm all for like, no, I gotta try. Because it is very much a random thing. Like, first one I did, and I watched some previous slash rewatch some previous like Vanquish minis to be like, all right, what are some of the things she's gonna ask for? None of the ones I watched had pickles in the fridge. And I was like, ah, fuck. Because I
yeah.
didn't have any, my roommates didn't have any, and I'm like, ah, crap, I'm out. But I had, like, and everyone, there's always one person that vocalized, saying, I literally had every other thing except for pickles.
Every single
Yeah.
time. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
every time somebody goes out and then literally you hear them unmute like a round later, like, I had this. And I'm like, it's the way the cookie crumbles. Like I put them in random order.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So you mentioned that you did know a lot of people going into this game, and you saw. What about the people you didn't know? Because we got a fair bit of like first time orgers as well. Some
Yeah.
people that we were preaching the good word of the org community. Um, you know, so what were your thoughts on some of the like faces that you didn't know going into this game?
Yeah, so like I mean, kind of like I touched on a little bit earlier, is like I want to get to know these people because that's the only reason why I play orgs anymore. I don't normally play orgs at all.
Mhm.
But it's a great way to meet new people. It's a great way to like network sometimes too. And so like of course like I was like completely open to anybody and everybody. I was going to work with whoever. I was single-handedly trying to like screw myself out of the game so that they could be in there longer. Um, which I mean, I'm sure we'll get to the round where I blew up some things to save somebody and then I voted them out the very next round. So yeah, no, I genuinely want to work with like new people because a lot of the time, especially when they have no idea about the org community, they want to latch on to somebody that knows what they're doing in the org community to kind of
Mhm.
like their piggyback a little bit. And so they end up being one of the more loyal people and you need that in a game. So
Mhm.
that's where you want I look towards that a little bit more. So I was pretty excited to see a lot of new faces in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying really hard to get Esteban specifically to
Yes,
do more orgs.
for
He's
Esteban.
actually been very successful since doing Curse
Good.
Island. Like he
Well, he
did the
wasn't with me.
yeah yeah he did the
Yeah.
100-person org that Michael O'Rear hosted. And he got fifth place on that
Oh
one.
wow,
So like, he
good
made
for
it really far
him.
in that. So yeah, he
Yeah, that's awesome.
and then he did Hellscape too, and he got like I think he got like fifth again. Like he made it pretty
Oh,
far.
awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
good for
He
him. No, he's
only
a great
he
player.
only
He
got
really is.
eliminated because he didn't know the rules when you're the person selecting someone eliminated.
Oh, he
He
didn't
was a
say a
little
name in
foggy on
time.
that.
yeah,
No.
he wanted to do a big dramatic reveal because he wanted
And
to
that
do that.
dramatic reveal just happened to be him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, no, he was good. He didn't really he learned a lot from doing Curse Island, even though he went out a little early
No,
because
yeah.
he wanted to be that villain, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people want to go into their first org, especially if you're a fan of Survivor, as the villain who's going to be backstabbing. But in a game like a mini, it's really hard to be that and then make it far sometimes because if you're trying to do that, like you have to be like so aggressive in that, and it just paints the hugest target because you just need to hear your name once, and then suddenly everyone's going to latch onto your name.
Oh, for sure. Because it's the
Yeah.
easy thing to do, especially when you have zero time.
Yeah.
Hmm. No. All right. So also one of the things that kind of surprised some of the people, it was a smaller cast, so like some people might be able to see it coming, but we just basically had one round where one round of pre-merge.
Mhm.
Or pre-juror. I mean, Devin would have been a juror, but he was like, I'm just going.
He just
But
Like,
dipped.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
yeah, but then it gave us this fun little thing where, as you guys know, Jelensky is my favorite first boot. So we had several challenges, several tribal councils, and several jury members. So it just was perfect.
Yeah. No, it worked out. And no, and that's the thing too, I think. I mean, because that was fun. That was like the fun part that like it almost instantly went into an individual game.
Mhm.
And so it's like now you're in the forefront. Like that's like I love like that's like they all say it even on the same show. This is when the game begins. Like it's time to go now. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
know? And so that was really exciting to like realize, oh, we're done now. Let's bring it on, you know? But at the
Yep.
same time, I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm still here after round one. Are we going? Is it my turn yet?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but originally this was going to be a 2-day org, and we are going to have 16
Okay.
players. But then we started having a little trouble getting some people. We were kind of like, are we going to be able to get the number? And we kind of like said, you know what, let's just go to 13. It's Curse Island. 13 is like a unlucky number. Like that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we turned it into just a 1-day org, and then it was just like, okay, let's just make it feel like a almost like a fake little pre-merge here, and then bam, we're
Hmm.
into it.
Yeah, no, it worked well. No, it worked
Yeah.
well. I mean, you got to work with what you get. Like it happens to us in Vanquish all the time. Like people drop all the time. It's yeah, it's a thing. So
Yeah, exactly.
So from what I understand, you really spearheaded in that right before them, like the merge. You really spearheaded Jeffy's elimination. What was the thought process behind that? You just didn't want to deal with that chaos, or did you think did it for the lulz? Like, what was it?
um I don't remember me completely spearheading this, but I know where you're going with this. It was more so that like the name was out there and I was like, I've hosted Jeffy and I know he can be a chaotic player and I don't really want to be around that because like let me be the chaos. And so when I heard the name, I'm like, yeah, totally, that's what I'm doing. Like, no question asked, I'm not changing my vote. Like, let's and so I kind of like stuck with that, and then I think people saw that I was sticking with that and they're like, okay, let's just do it. So
Yeah,
sorry, Jeffy.
Yeah.
you just had to take out my boy Jeffy.
I know,
You
I'm so sorry. I was so
know?
sorry. But yeah, no, it was like it was one of those that I was just like, it's either I'm gonna be the only vote that's voting Jeffy, or which will make me look like I'm the outs and then they'll vote me out, or it's gonna work out my favor. And it worked out my favor.
Yeah, I was
It
upset because
did.
the two people who I played with on this cast was Jeffy and Coach, and those are the two first two gone.
I know. I feel so bad.
No,
Coaches, I felt even worse though because her computer died and then
yeah.
had to and like right when the breakout rooms opened. So it's like,
I know that was
what can you really do about that for coach? Like she kind of just
you can't recover from that in a mini.
yeah.
No. Speaking of breakout rooms, so this one we kind of decided, and this is also due to because we only had the four of us. We had,
Yeah.
Joe, myself, Matt, and Jake. So like we also were like, all right, we're gonna do three breakout rooms, stuff like that. We're not gonna have limits. What did you think about the no limits on that? Where it's like, hey, yeah, you can have pretty much everyone here. How did you feel about the kind of like buddy system that just kind of started to form there?
So, I mean, like they still you know what I mean? Like they still like we all stayed in our tribes for a second, right? Like so we still like and
Hmm.
then that the three stayed on after we like merged, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did it ever have a limit?
We never gave a
No.
limit. No.
Okay, yeah, okay. So for when like the first, obviously, when we were in tribes, obviously we stayed kind of there, and then we kind of started branching out. But then like we came into individual, we still kind of came like it was still like the tribe thing, and then people like came to the other room, like everybody was there. And then the reason why I hate rooms without limits is because no one talks. Like they're literally like
Mhm.
there's no vote talking.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like, and I'm not gonna say, I mean, I used it in the game, but I'm not gonna say that they weren't texting, but that a lot I've seen in a lot of orgs that they're over there texting the plan when you're not supposed to, so then it kind of ruins the game for the rest of the people playing. And
Mhm.
I don't normally love a no room limit. I get why you guys did it. And then that's kind of where the whole Kristen check was born was because I tried to I've seen this happen in like another in a Big Brother org that I played in where nobody wanted to move because you never want to be the first person to take off because then they're going to talk about you.
Mhm.
And so a friend of mine, Bill, he was like, all right, guys, like, let's be adults. Three, two, one, and we're all gonna go to rooms. And so I tried to implement that, and I was like, nobody wants to be the first person. Let's just agree that at three, two, one, we all just pick a room and go and try and talk. And so I did that, and nobody moved. And so then I sat in a room with Jake, and I was like, I'm not going back. I'm just not. I'm just gonna stay here because like they're not doing anything
Hmm.
over there anyway. So
Uh-huh.
like, there's no point. And then if I don't go over there, then I'm an easy next boot. So like I was like, it's fine. I'm just hey Jake, how's your day? So that was kind of how the Kristen check was born. But yeah, I mean, it makes for kind of a like because now everybody can talk, and you know what I mean, especially in a mini where the time is precious, but then the time is precious. So let's stop beating around the bush. Like, what are we doing? So
Yeah.
hit or miss, love hate situation with the no limit room. But I get why you guys did it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things to kind of circle back when you were talking about things that we did or you do and you kind of are like maybe definitely in the next season we want to do limits that way we can
Yeah.
get the idea. I think it's good in the sense of like getting people's stress limits up and like who's going to break first, stuff like
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
It caused a few
yeah.
chaotic tribals, I feel, where just people didn't know what was
Mhm.
going on. But yeah, no, I do think yeah, for the next one we're gonna do room limits definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like our first like fans versus favorites mini, like the first couple, we let everybody be in camp, and then we had room limits on all the other things.
Hmm.
Um, but nobody left the camp, so we were like,
Yeah.
Shane and I were like, we're switching this up. Like every room is gonna have a limit. Not everybody can have the majority in the room all the time.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Exactly.
can definitely see maybe like especially yeah, we'll have to figure out like pre-merge especially because I do want like everyone to be able to talk in the camp like all together if they want
Yeah.
to, but then have different rooms that have actual
Just watch
limits.
because nobody will leave the camp though. Just
Yeah.
maybe the beginning
Yeah.
of it, let them have that
Mhm.
room, but then like as the game progresses, like shut it down.
Yeah, because well, I did an expedition online mini recently, and
Yeah.
they did that where it was like we had the camp, and then we could go off, and like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like your strategy was always going other places. So it was kind of like up to you a little bit. But yeah, it can definitely just cause whoever's not in that the main camp.
For sure.
Yeah. No. All right. And then I know you were talking about earlier about protecting someone and then voting them out. Like I know the very first one we had, Devin got eliminated, but like
Oh, that's not who I was talking
There was a lot. What?
about. That's not who I was talking about.
No, Vivi. I was
Yeah.
leading into Vivi,
Oh, okay. I
where
thought you thought
the
I was
very
talking about
next.
Devin. I was like, no.
No, 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 no. Devin was more akin to you. It was like, I'm just gonna try and get voted out. Uh, but the very next one was Vivi because she was like she didn't realize the time zone, and so like she was quick to get ready. Then she also ended up on Cursed Island, so her name was already kind of floating around a lot. So what made you want to protect Vivi and then in that round because it was like people with the two highest vote counts were about to be eliminated.
Yeah, so I think because I knew that I had jump ship, and so I know that I'm an easy target at this point. And they were bringing her up. And so I was like, that's just kind of where I was like, I'll fall on the sword because I want new players to be able to play.
Mhm.
And so it was hilarious because this was Esteban at this point, just leading the charge. Like he's
Yeah.
like, we're
Mhm.
talking in code, the person that just played something. And I'm like, they're in the room. I think I know that they just played something. But I don't it didn't appear that Vivi was like catching on to this. And I was like, because she wasn't saying anything. So like if somebody's saying like we just vote the person that just played something and I know that I'm that person, I'm like, oh, so you're voting me, cool, like let's talk about it. But he just was like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, like sounds good. Like she didn't seem like she was picking up that it was her. Um and so I just kind of after like the Devon vote because I just felt so like that it felt a little weird to me. I ended up like I said when you have people that are all in a room and they're not talking about a vote, but then everybody ends up voting that person, it gets a little like, okay, what's going on over there, you guys? So I was like, after that vote, I was like, okay, we're not playing this game. And so I was like, let's just throw this to the wind. And so that's why you guys had brought up something about breakout rooms. And I think Esteban's like, yeah, it's getting harder with the numbers getting, no, people are, it's harder to talk because numbers are getting lower. And I was like, let me just unmute. Let me just unmute
Yeah.
here. And it wasn't a plan. It was literally a spur of the moment. And I'm like, you know what? No, it's not getting hard. You guys sit in a room. You're literally telling that you're going to vote Vivi like in front of her and you're using code Vivi. They're talking.
Oh,
And I didn't know where else the other votes were going to go because I thought it would be me and Vivi, obviously. So I'm like, now I've kind of caught her hopefully out of people are like, Kristen's like saying stuff. So like maybe let's do something. And so they ended up doing something. It ended up being a tie, but then I stayed and I was like, I was shocked. I think everybody saw my face. I legit, when you guys read the revote, I was like, wait, what? Like I was
Mhm.
mind blown. Um, so yeah, I was like, okay, maybe I'm actually doing something here. And I don't mean to,
mhm.
but maybe I'm doing something here. And yeah, so I saved her that moment so that she could continue on playing. But then y'all switched us up into some tribes of four.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where there's literally nowhere to hide. It is.
No.
And then of course Cameron ends up winning that immunity, which he was
Yeah.
potentially someone who could have been taken out instead. But yeah, then it kind of created a situation, yeah, where it was potentially Vivi is like kind of the one on the blog. I
Well,
mean,
the thing about that is a lot of people like because I know we're gonna get to the finale. A lot of people
mhm,
gave me and Amy crap for being close to one another.
mhm,
Um, in that moment, like I like again, I don't play Friend Viber. Everybody knows that I preach
mhm,
against Friend Viber to the core. I hate it with all of my guts. And I was going to vote out Amy and stick
mhm.
with Vivi. And then Cameron kept going into his know-it-all, like, "Oh, this is what she's doing this." And I'm like, "All right, okay, you no." And so I was like, "I'm flipping the script on Cameron." And so then I decided to vote with Amy and take out Vivi because he would have never he didn't have that coming. Like if you guys saw his face in that moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that
Um,
was the moment of me going, okay, like I'm sorry, Viv, like this has to be where it's gonna go down at this point because I'm not gonna have anybody that claims that they know how I'm not gonna play a predictable game.
that's fair. Do you think did you think Cam wanted that or no? I will say the two times because he was on here for another we had the Tribe of Nerds for something
Yeah.
called Tomodachi Game. He definitely was a villain in that one. He was
Huge
like one of
villain.
the only people that decided to betray people because basically that game was all about sticking together, not doing anything to each other. And he was like, "Nah, that I'm gonna stab Jake in the back."
Oh, poor Jake.
Yeah. Um, it did lead to Pirate Sarah's elimination too. I know you might get some satisfaction out of
Oh,
that
darn.
because of
Yeah. Yeah, the only
yeah.
person to get technically eliminated from the game was Pirate Sarah.
If it would have been anybody, it would have been her. So
Yeah.
I like poetic justice.
No. But yeah, so after that, then it's like, top six. And then at that point, this is where the ladies started coming together because they're like,
Mhm.
might as well.
It's funny because little old me is over there in Kristen Shack, and I don't even know who's in the game anymore.
Yeah.
And like Amy pops in because like at this point, like I literally just went back to that same breakout room by myself the entire time.
Mhm.
And Amy jumps in and she's like, Kristen, we have to do something here. Like, why are you sitting over here by yourself? And I'm like, Amy, I just don't care. Like, I don't like whatever. Like, what do you want to do? Like, I'll vote, but like, I don't. I'm fine. She goes, well, there's four women. Like we should work together. And I'm like, sure. Like, I don't care. That's fine. Whatever. And so, I didn't. So here's the fun fact: I didn't know that Miranda and Kendall knew each other.
Um,
I had
Yeah.
zero idea. I thought Kendall was just like another person that you guys had brought in from like whatever. And it was so funny because I remember after the season, like they're like partying together, and I was like, from like a one night mini, they're like best friends now. And like,
Not only that,
yeah, like I
if
had
you
like,
look back at the finale, you see Miranda go into the other room and hug her.
oh, were
Like
they
she's
in the
not
same
fully.
room?
yeah, they were in the same.
They were in the same. They were in the same apartment.
Oh my god, I totally missed that. I actually need to go back and rewatch that. See Miranda hug her. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
see
yeah, no, I
Miranda's
like
camera empty, and yeah.
yeah, I totally missed all that. Like it was literally like weeks later that I saw that they were hanging out, and I was like, "How are they like best friends after one night mini? This is crazy." And then like Miranda and I were talking, she's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, Kendall, like when we were in high school or whatever she said, I don't even remember." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all everything is
Yeah.
explained now. I get it, like totally
Yeah.
understand." But yeah, I mean, I always hate like the whole like guy girl thing too, though.
Mhm.
I don't care who you are. I'm playing with you, or I'm not playing with you. But I was like, sure, if we want to go that route, fine, cool, let's do it. And I mean, at that point, who goes at that point? Is that Esteban or is that Cameron?
It was
Cameron
Cameron.
goes out at
Esteban
6.
was already eliminated. It was
Yeah, yeah,
Dominic who was the other
yeah,
male
yeah.
contestant left.
No, I remember Dominic, but I couldn't remember if it was Esteban or Cameron. I couldn't remember if I was flip flopping them. So yeah, I mean, but obviously I wasn't like upset. I wasn't torn about that one. Um,
No.
Cameron, here's the thing with Cameron too. Like Cameron and I have had a fight, like, and it is a fight. I always say this: Vanquish family is family for life. You don't have to love each other all the time, but you're still stuck with that person as a family.
Mhm.
Cameron's one of those people.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with Cameron. I am one of the. I don't hold grudges. I could care less. Like it is what it is. It was in the past. Like move on and like let bygones be bygones.
Mhm.
Coming into the game though, and like Cameron kind of like jumping in every time I would say something. I'm like, okay, we're gonna play that game. Okay, cool. So like when it was like, do you want to vote Cameron? I'm like, okay, not hurting my feelings. It's fine. So yeah, and then I mean, poor Dominic. Like,
Yeah.
writing on the wall.
Yeah, I was surprised honestly it wasn't Dominic first just because he didn't have a vote. Like there's
Yeah,
potential there, but also I mean I also get it. I feel like Dominic really let everyone know that he was not a threat in the game. Like that was his strategy, I guess,
yeah,
and it worked to a degree.
yeah.
But yeah, it kind of he even said when he got to Final Five, he like looked and was like, "Oh, I'm the last guy." Oh,
But
okay.
I think the thing for me though at Final Five, if Dominic doesn't say my name, I would have pulled him in to take a shot at Kendall or Miranda
Mhm.
to break
Mhm.
them. And it just so happened that he came into a like we all literally like a minute and a half before you pull us in, we all end up together in a room. And I don't even know how it gets brought up. And Dominic's like, well, I'm voting you, Kristen. Like, you're a threat. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm voting Dominic.
Yeah.
Never
Yep.
mind. Because I was talking to Amy, like, because we were talking, I was like, okay, are we writing this for, or do we want to, like, we were talking about that, you know?
Uh,
Um, but it was very brief because she's over there like like a butterfly, and I'm over here like she'd pop in and she'd be like, okay, this is what we're doing, and I'm like, okay.
mhm.
And so like in those pop-ins, it was like, are we really writing this forward to the end, or are we gonna do something different? And I think it like had Dominic not said that, I probably would have done a little like crazy thing at Tribal and worked with Dominic to take a shot at Miranda or Kendall, but he said my
Interesting.
name.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to go.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to justify at that point, especially in the mini where you're like, you gotta go.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
What
all right.
what he said at the beginning is true. He does not like reality TV. He doesn't watch any of this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
he had no idea of even like any idea of what he should be doing out there.
Yeah. No, like I said, I mean, and even if he would have thrown out anybody else, even if he threw out Amy's name, I would have been like, okay, let's not do that. Let's do something else. But
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
specifically throwing my name out, I was like, there's no point for it. Like,
Yeah,
why?
I'm guessing that he just assumed that because he was in that group of with Miranda and Kendall that maybe that they'd be more willing, but he didn't even vote with them, and they were going to vote
No,
him. So it's like
yeah.
that's not gonna it's not gonna work that way.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, we
All
ended up
right.
with a badass Final Four. So I mean,
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
agreed. And two, fuck, I feel like, especially like, I know because we had a double elimination there, I feel like that final six, like, you had so much, you had so many different avenues. You had, Cameron that was like playing very aggressively. You had the newbie, of Dominic who was like, he was there, he was having a good time. And
Hmm.
then, you had the four horsemen of badass women.
Yeah,
And then around this time too, you started sitting out of challenges. First
yeah,
bouncing on a ruler of knife of the cups, and
yeah.
then
I claimed I
the
didn't have
final
that.
immunity challenge. You were
Oh
like,
yeah,
nope,
I'm
I'm
not.
not.
No, I'm
we're
not
not
playing
playing.
it. No,
Yeah, I
no.
get that. I get that to be honest.
I mean, honestly, like, I mean, if this was like a game, like I came in, like I said very early on in this like interview, I came into this game very much like this is gonna be for fun. If this was like where I was like die hard $1 million, Jeff Probst is staring me down, hell yeah, I'm gonna plank. But like,
Yeah.
I'm not planking at like midnight after a few beers, and I'm a big fat girl. It's not happening. I'm gonna break something. I'm good.
Hmm.
Like let these fit people do this crap because I'm gonna do a plank for like a minute, if that, if that. I think the only other time I've ever done a plank ever in my entire life, not even just like in an org, like in my entire life, I think I lasted 1 minute and 7 seconds. So I'm like, I'm looking at these other three beautiful women and I'm like, it's not happening. I'm not even gonna hurt myself or try or do anything like this. I'm gonna sit and chug my beer and have a good time, watch these three fight it out. But yeah, the balancing one, you guys were like, get a ruler, get a butter knife. I'm like, oh darn, I just moved in. I don't know where any of that stuff's at. Meanwhile, it's like sitting
Which I
next
thought
to me.
was weird because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there. And he was like, I thought it was a little weird. I was like, because like I'm sure like you've already like at least know where that is. And like when you said, oh, they already have their supplies and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I was like a
Yeah.
little like, But like obviously I'm not calling you out in the middle of that. If you want to sit out, you want to sit out. But I think it ended up working for you, and it made like some people kind of like, especially like the jury, like look at you more. Like I don't know if you've watched back, but like even
I did.
like I remember Esteban coming in and being like, Kristen is winning this game. Like what the
Yeah, what the
uh
hell happened? No, I'm just kidding.
what did happen? That was a
Yeah.
I'm very happy for Kendall and that
We
you
will
won a
get to
perfect
that, I'm
game, but
sure.
like
Yeah.
I
No, but it
was
was
Yeah.
that was kind of like I felt so empowered during this game for these specific moments because I'm like I've never been able to play like I just don't care, right? And so
Hmm.
like for me to be like I'm sitting out, I don't care. Like I'm ballsy move right there. Like
Yeah.
final immunity, I'm like I don't need it. It's fine. I'm good.
you pulled a
Yeah.
Richard Hatch. You
Richard
I
pulled a
Hatch.
Richard
did.
Hatch.
Uh-huh.
I did. But yes, so
Wh-
yeah, Kindle wins.
she did win.
Yeah.
Now, at this one, I don't know if you said, I know like at the final tribal council, you and Amy got labeled a duo. At this point, were you thinking of also, I mean, like, what was the thought? Because it ended up in a tie between Amy and Miranda to duke it out in a guess how many episodes of like simulations we've done. But like, did the thought ever occur to you to like go flip on Amy, or was it because you didn't hear your voice that you were like, eh, or yeah?
So no, I did very much contemplate taking Amy out at this point. Kendall and I had literally we did not speak this entire game. It is hilarious. Like Kendall and I literally said not one word to each other until 30 seconds before the breakout room closed. And she hopped in and she's like, I don't want to vote Miranda. And I'm like, oh she okay, she's not even like we're not even talking, right? She's saying I'm not voting Miranda. So then I kind of felt
Mhm.
like Amy attempted to like try to help me, you know, like by coming in and like let's like say this name or do that, you know what I mean? Like she was attempting to she brought the women to me, you know what I mean? So I was like, if she's sticking loyal to Miranda, I gotta stick loyal to Amy at least in this vote. And so I bring up to Kendall, do you want to just like let them duke it out and like make this like fun for the spectators and let them have fire making? She's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, did I think about it? 100%. Um, I think in that moment too, I was like, if Miranda goes, because I didn't know that her and Kendall were so close.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of was like, maybe even though Miranda played with Kendall this whole game, like maybe Miranda will see because Miranda recognizes gameplay very well. That I was like, maybe if she does go here, then she votes for me or Amy votes for me. So I was kind of like, it doesn't really matter to me because I didn't realize that Miranda and Kendall were so.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really care who goes here.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So I mean, yes, I did contemplate it, but I knew that Amy and I we didn't friend Viber this, so I wasn't concerned with that. Like that's where
Mhm.
I didn't realize that they were all thinking that, which is fine. But like, I sat in a breakout room the entire time, so I don't know how we friend Vibered
Hmm.
this way. I didn't talk to anybody, let alone Amy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I think Miranda was a big jury threat. Like, I definitely think if she got to the end, like she would have
Yeah.
given
Oh, for
Kendall
sure.
and you like a huge run for your
Oh, for
money.
sure. I've seen
So
her. Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen her win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it was still a good move on your part to be trying to take out Miranda there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where you just never know what the jury's thinking. Like you can vote people
Of
out, and
course.
you think like, oh, this is exactly what's happened, but then suddenly they go there, and then rumors start going and then circulating, and now suddenly it's like something's gone out of proportion that you could have never expected.
I think for me, I think going into the final tribal council, I think for me, I knew that I like all of us had amazing stories to tell in like ways that we got here,
Hmm.
but I was confident at that point. Like I was like, I sat out of challenges. Like I didn't even have to participate. I sat in a breakout room. I know that my game speaks for itself, and I
Hmm.
have a good shot here. So I didn't think I had it in the bag. I never go in thinking anything's set in stone because you can't do that in Survivor.
Hmm.
But I was like, I'm very confident in how I'm going to explain my game here at the end. So, like,
Hmm.
I didn't really care who I sat next to. I knew that I had a very strong case to win, as did everyone, but I knew that
Hmm.
my story differed a lot from everybody else's. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, I love that Kendall gets this perfect game title, but I definitely expected you to be getting votes. Like it was actually like
Yeah.
super shocking when I started getting the vote reveals that it was all Kendall. I was like, wait, what? What? Really? Like
yeah,
not even like one or two like going to Kristen?
that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it too, I always hate the question that juries ask. If it's not going to be you, who would you pick to win?
Hmm.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's a cop out jury question a lot of the time because, like, we're supposed to be focusing on ourselves. We're telling you why you should pick us to win. Why are we doing your work for you? Why you should be picking somebody else besides us?
Hmm.
So I do feel like that's a lot of the time you see that in juries where at least somebody's asking that. And I feel like that's a very cop out question. Um, Again, like it came to it like where Amy, I knew that Amy and I, especially from those questions leading up, because I think that was like maybe the fourth question that was asked or something like that. And every time somebody came before them, it was like, well, you and Amy, you and Amy, you and Amy. And I was like, oh my God. So at that
Yeah.
point, it was like, they already think Amy and I are tied together. So like, let me give Kendall some props too, because they've seen all of us play. So like, let me give Kendall some props too.
Hmm.
Because at that point, I was thinking, they're not asking a lot of questions to Kendall. And typically when you're not being talked to at tribal,
Mhm.
they're kind of counting you out, right? Like we've seen it time and time again.
Uh,
Uh, and so I wanted to give Kendall some props in that to get them starting to think of Kendall as well. Little did I know that they were already all pretty much voting for Kendall. So
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she
I
had a
didn't
lot of
want,
cheerleaders on there.
yeah, I
Phil and
didn't want
Murr.
because you see it so many times, time and time again, that like even in the real Survivor, like if somebody's not being talked to at tribal, you're like, oh, they're not winning.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
even asking them a question, you know. So I was like, let me like Kendall needs to be thought of too. And so I wanted to bring up like some good things that Kendall did. It just ended up screwing me over.
Yeah. It happens. It happens.
Yep.
You've won an org before, right?
I have.
Yeah, so like, at least like you help pave this story of like someone who came on and played a perfect game on their very first try. Like,
Yeah.
so like
Mhm.
you helped contribute to that. Like, don't get me wrong, if you won this season, that'd be super badass. It would be super fitting because you were the person who introduced us. You were the Nick Fury. You were the Morpheus that brought neat. You are the Morpheus, Kristen, that brought Neo into Vanquish.
I literally until you
How do
said
you
Neo
feel
had
about
no
that?
idea who you were talking about. So it's funny because like I just did this villains thing with Jake and Kevin, and they're all over there like in their own nerdy right, and I have my own nerdy right.
Mhm.
Literally, I had no like you're the Morpheus, and I'm like, let me smile and nod here. I have no idea who you're talking about until you said Neo, and then I realized it was Matrix. So I was like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
I can think now. But
yeah.
yeah, like I said, I've seen like we've just finished our what 12th season and not even including minis. And I love seeing where people, because then people fall in love with the org community at that point. And they go out and play, and it's so much fun to see how into it they get. I mean, I will say a lot of times they go a little stir crazy and go out there and play every game. And more oftentimes than not, they're coming back like, this isn't like Vanquish. And I'm like, I tried to warn you.
Yeah.
Because some people are crazy. There's or people out there that are nuts. And
Yeah,
I've
I've
experienced
experienced
that.
that
Yeah.
recently.
yeah,
Uh,
they're like it's toxic out
on
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's not fun.
yeah.
So but I do love seeing everybody like play and like and then you guys had your game, Jake had his game. I love seeing, you know what I mean? Like those are fun to see you guys like and where you guys go with your creative minds and stuff. So it's a lot of fun to see everybody branch off from Vanquish, but then always
Uh-huh.
still come back to Vanquish too. So it's like I
Mhm.
said, huge family.
We
Yeah. Yeah.
we always come back to
Always,
Vanquish.
a spot in our hearts for it. It's it birthed us into the Aura community. We're always,
Hmm.
always around now.
Yeah, the roots. Blame it on your roots. Is that in the song? I don't even know. Don't listen.
Probably. I'm terrible with music.
Yeah, yeah. I would be
Something about
terrible at that challenge that you guys do with the
I'm
like.
better at modern stuff because I listen to the radio now, so I'm like, okay, I'm more familiar. But about a year ago, if I did that challenge, I'd be like, who? Rolling Stones, the magazine? Uh,
right. I love that challenge with Jose. He's he's so talented, so I love
it
getting to
is
introduce
cool.
him to so many new people. Um, but I remember it's fun. That challenge was a challenge I did in my very first org. That's how I met Jose.
Mhm.
Um, so
Mhm.
that very first org that I ever played, we had a challenge, and we had to listen to somebody singing, and I was like so distracted. I'm like, my God, I'm supposed to be like paying attention to the song, but this voice is so beautiful. And like then he was like singing songs that like he sang Selena, and I'm like, we're friends for life. Whoever this is after the season, we're friends for life because I love Selena. Um, and so yeah, that's kind of where that challenge was born. Not even
Mhm.
born, but like
Mhm.
transferred over. Because again, Jose is just so talented, and it's a fun way to bring in some family and friends too for Vanquish. So
Yeah, agreed. Damn it, Joe, why didn't you last one more round? I would have
I
been a
know.
part of it.
I know. I that was my goal was to have you be coming on as my
Yeah.
family visit.
even like talking about like having to tweak things and like grow, like that challenge itself, like we've had to completely change the rules of that challenge from where it started
Yeah.
to where it is
Mhm.
now because a lot of people like started just ringing in and then they did, if they didn't get the answer, then oh well, because we don't let people steal because if you get part of it, it kind of is unfair.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like we were like, okay, now we're gonna do this, that you lose the point if you ring in just so nobody else can ring in and get the point. Like, so we had to change that up, and it's like, don't ring in until the end of the song because people would ring in and then people would start ringing in and they'd stop listening to the song, and then it's like nobody knows it, and it's like wasting Jose's time to like have nobody know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've had to like kind of tweak things. So that's the beauty of the org community, though.
Tis indeed.
Nice, nice.
Uh, all right. I know we threw out Sandra, we threw out Richard of like, gameplay style. I always like asking this question, and it doesn't have to be exclusive to Survivor, but like, what contestant would you compare you to in Cursed Island?
Okay, so this is a hard one because I mentioned earlier that I do switch it up quite often. For Cursed Island specifically, mm, I mean, I can see where it was like the Richard Hatch Sandra thing. I also feel like Denise Stapley, Winners at War in Philippines,
Mhm.
her kind of strategic mind. I felt like I was channeling a little bit just to be, you know, calling some random shots like out in the jungle with nobody or with my buddy, aka Amy.
Mhm.
But also Sugar, because like Kristen Shack, Sugar Shack, like
Sugar
The
Shack.
Sugar Shack.
Yeah.
yeah. So for Curse Island, I would say a combination of the four of those people probably was where I was at in that game.
Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Nice, nice.
Other games, I have different answers. I've
Nice.
been compared to like Corinne before. That was a season I did, and I was actually horrendous. I might have given Corinne a run for her money. I was actually quite evil. I played with Jose in that game, and he will attest to that. So if you ever ask him about that, um, I did actually. I was on the jury of that one, and I asked the final two. Or I didn't ask them. I told them I wasn't going to ask them any questions because I couldn't shove my head so far up my own ass to figure out why they were sitting in the final two. So yeah, that was like I said, major villain. I was compared to Corinne in that one. I mean, my first season, I played totally heroic. Like I played exactly how I would have played on Survivor. I didn't change. I did exactly how I think I would do if I ever got cast. Um, so yeah, every game I play a little different.
Yeah, and I feel like you grow as a person. Like, well, I mean, like the first game I played, I was just like, if any of you have seen Deadpool and Wolverine, I was basically Nice Pool. I was the one that was just getting shot at all the goddamn time. Uh,
Rat boy.
and like, I think even that helped me grow for heroes versus villains, and like, now in like future orgs, like, it definitely has helped me adjust my strategy moving forward. Like right now, I'm part of like a Discord game, Inferno, its very first season, and like I'm already kind of knowing how differently I'm playing. Like, are there some similarities? Yeah, but like I've been kind of like, playing a bit differently, playing a bit smarter, and like the way I go about it too. Well, much more. In
Yeah.
case one of them's
Well, don't in
watching.
case
Yeah.
they're listening.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
no, I agree with you. I mean, the game I won was my fourth game that I played, and I learned a lot in the first three that I played. Um, and I played. It was kind of crazy because I brought in what I did from the first game I ever played to the Corinne villainous horrible person that nobody wanted to talk to. Um, and I kind of like married the two, and I made a lot of crazy moves there. I came in there very much meeting friends and meant everything that I ever said to everybody I played with. But I also was like on the back burner, just like slitting throats, and like it ended up working. Almost didn't because then people were giving pity votes. Like I don't know how I didn't win that one, like unanimous, like Kendall did, but it's okay. I mean, even the other final two were like again they did the cop out who should we vote for? And both the other final two were like, Kristen, I don't even know why we're here. Like they were both like they'd given up their games at that point. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, it's like you do learn from mistakes, some achievements and triumphs. So yeah, it's fun to kind of grow your own game.
Yeah.
Great.
I
Agreed.
just like being a villain. That's the fun part for
Yes,
me.
Joe
That's
does.
where Joe, you gotta like marry the two in there. You gotta like villainous and the secret.
He
Yeah,
doesn't care. He
yeah.
doesn't care. He loves
I don't
he
let
loves
you
watching the
know.
world burn.
I mean, hey, I love it too.
Yeah. Well, my problem is at a certain point, like I can hide it for a while, like that I'm actually like being a villain, but then at a certain point, I'm like, I want to be, and I want the season to be entertaining. Like I want to.
I want the credit.
Yeah, exactly. No, I felt like that in
You can be
Candyland. I was
entertaining and
like,
not be a villain. Case in point,
yeah, but that's boring.
I am entertaining. I gave so many great things to Fans versus Favorites 3. I gave the Egyptian guard card thing. I had the iconic Captain America elimination. There was a lot of stuff I did. I wouldn't categorize myself as a villain. I only got my villain cred because of a catchphrase that is now clinging. Did somebody say more screen time?
But you know what? As good as all of those were, I think all of that was overshadowed by Drew and his judge.
The Batman one? That was a
Yeah,
good one.
like I laughed so like that was one of those moments. It was like we had so many moments. Like a lot of them came from Ryan, and then it's like it topped it off with like the
Hmm.
Batman under the judge. It was like chef's kiss. Like we were all a little nervous because we know Drew was kind of like quirky, so we were like,
Hinting that it was.
"What are
He
we gonna
hinted in
do
his
here?"
video that it might be something different.
Well, in the video, he does like because he unzips a little bit, and there's no, like in the video, there's nothing, and we're
Yeah.
like, what are we gonna
Hmm.
do here, Drew? But then when he like pulled the whole thing, and he's like, I'm Batman. I was like, I'm done. I wrap it up. Like game over. I'm done. So
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, a lot of good memories, a lot of good moments, and so many more to come. So I'm excited for it.
definitely,
Oh yeah.
definitely. Speaking of, more things to come, would you be interested in, being potentially in, coming back for an All Stars, or are we gonna have to hit you up 20 minutes before the season
Probably 20 minutes before.
starts?
No, I mean, I like I said, I do this. I play for fun now.
Hmm.
Again, I'll probably be like first boot, so I'll just go in with that mentality again. It seemed to work for me last time, so
Mhm.
I'll just throw some random challenges, hang out in Kristin Shack again, and we'll see where All Stars takes me. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't ever say no. I mean, unless of course something else is going on. But yeah, no, I don't ever say no.
All right.
Okay. Awesome.
Love
Awesome.
hearing it.
Yeah. Okay, I think that does, unless there's anything else, Ryan or Kristen, if you have any other things to talk about.
Yeah, Kristen, if you want to talk more about Vanquish or any other social media that
Mhm.
you want people to follow, now's the time.
Yeah, I mean, follow Vanquish. I mean, I mean, even speaking of things to come, we just have teased Traders is now coming. It's gonna be our new fans versus favorites for at least this time being. One night mini. We've got Big Brother happening. We have the floor and other game shows planned out too, and other reality shows like The Challenge. So all these things are going to be coming. Trivia nights. We're really excited for 2024, but we're going to wrap this year out and hopefully a massive bang with a massive party in December, and
Mhm.
then
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be good, and can't wait to see how much more Vanquish grows. So and all the people that will have in 2024. That will so
Oh yeah.
yeah, follow Vanquish.
Okay. Well, I'm excited for all of that stuff. It's going to be a blast. And yeah, that does it for this episode. Thank you so much, Kristen, for being a part of the doing this interview with us. And we will see you all in the next one.
Peace.